Chapter 6 Episode 28 Interlude Reinhardt and Porco. One cold night in the noble district of the capital, where glamorous manors stood in rows, the Duke Reinhardt was visiting a relatively small and drab estate that belonged to a man he was once close to. Welcome, Duke Jamil. Although I've seen you at the annual balls, I believe it's been some time since we've spoken in private. Indeed. Though we had many a conversation as students together, of course. I would like to call you Porco, like the good old days. So please feel free to drop the formalities. Very well, then. Their conversation continued in the foyer, still underlined with lingering formality. It was kind of like this when we first met, actually, started Reinhardt. Right. I didn't think anyone would show up there, least of all the talk of the academy. I couldn't exactly build a relationship with anyone I wished, as it would have hindered my father. Not even His Majesty could ignore your influence. Not because of your father, but because of his contract with a divine beast. I'm sure plenty of kids came up to you under their parents' orders. Not that I blame them either. Oh, that reminds me, Porco. I saw my daughter for the first time in a while before I came here. I asked her to bring a friend because I was curious about how academy life was treating her, and she brought 4 all wonderful children. Splendid. Why do you sound so unhappy about it? On my way out, I mentioned that I was coming here, and she said she didn't know I had friends in the academy. Tough break. You haven't told her. I've told her enough for her to be aware. Of course, I don't want her to feel the same way I did. She doesn't have many nobles of her same age in our circle. And honestly, I feel that made her a more honest and genuine young lady, which I'm proud of. Not to sound flippant, but I hope that doesn't come back to bite you on the ass. Of course I'm ready to jump in if needed, but it's important for them to live through the experience themselves. And she's already made 5 close friends in less than a year, when it took me 6 years to make just 1 friend. I hope they'll be of great support to her. 5. Would the 5th happen to be? Yes, it's Ryoma. I heard you gave him quite the warm welcome. I wanted to thank you for that. I hardly did very much. In fact, he was the one who helped me. I thanked him the best I could. See, I've heard. He received quite a remarkable reward. Porco couldn't help but raise his eyebrow at Reinhardt's comment. Was it unsatisfactory? Unfortunately, I could not repay him with any more than that. No, neither of us took issue with it. He actually thinks you are much too generous. It's just not the same, is it? Reinhardt asked. Porco answered slowly but honestly. To tell the truth, I appreciate you wanting to leave our titles at the door and for seeking me out as a schoolmate. I really do, but I think I've grown too old to take your offer at face value. I understand. We each have responsibilities that come with our title. And, while it's true that I want to speak with you as old friends, that isn't the only reason why I'm here. No sense in beating around the bush anymore. Shall we take care of business first? I would appreciate that. Then let me be blunt, Porco. I would like to attend these meetings you're hosting. Do you mean the dinners I host as a hobby? What makes you want to attend? I heard from Ryoma that you've been told rumors of unsavory incidents in my land. I have. Don't tell me. Regrettably, it seems that there are several clans in cahoots orchestrating them. Porco covered his eyes. Who are those idiots? Sounds like you already have a good idea. Which means you're not looking for help in resolving your current problems, I presume. I appreciate that you always move our conversations along. I don't like playing games or fighting for power. See, I want them to understand what happens to those who mess with my family and my people while making new connections to prevent this from happening again. There would be plenty of families itching to befriend the Duke without my help. That's true, but I don't want to befriend any old noble. It would mean a lot if you could help me, Porco. You've always been thorough and careful, not to mention that you're keeping up with these connections through your dinners. I'll repay you for your troubles. Of course, my men are waiting outside with your recompense. I'll have them brought in. Porco rang a bell on his desk and Pigu entered the room. Once Porco gave his orders, the butler swiftly brought in 3 boxes of varying sizes. "Take a look at this first." Reinhardt handed him a thin, rectangular box. A necklace, Porco guessed from the shape of the box. While he was correct, what rested inside the box was more than what he had imagined. Pearls. A whole string of them even, and the sizes are all equal. In this landlocked country, even a single pearl was incredibly valuable. Porco couldn't even imagine how much he would have to pay to acquire a full necklace of them. "It's breathtaking. What else is there to say?" Porco carefully returned the box and asked, "What's the point in showing me this? It's far too extravagant for me. Don't tell me that's the repayment you spoke of. If you want one, Porco, I can get another one just like it. As for this particular one, though, I plan to gift it to an acquaintance. He just got married last year and he's been looking far and wide for a gift for his wife." "An acquaintance who married last year receiving something like this? So it's meant for His Majesty, then? You must be looking for a permit to sell pearls in return. Many nobles want access to pearls. I don't know how you got these, but if you can so easily prepare another necklace like this one, with His Majesty's seal of approval, you'll gain significant influence, not to mention your income. A connection to the Duke of Pearls. Were I to take that role, I would gain some voice and influence myself. Of course, I'd expect to make some new enemies along the way. To a certain degree, yes. But my family will back you up. I don't want you to be a mere cushion between my family and the other nobles, but a partner who can support others and be supported in turn. In part, this is because you're already involved in my sourcing of these pearls." "What?" "Take a look at these," Reinhardt said, and opened another box to reveal some shells, their well-polished nacre brilliantly shining. "This sheen. But that shape. Ryoma found them in your land, Porco. I've heard their shells common to those areas. These are sandrills, then. You asked him to clean a hot spring? He apparently used the cleaner he concocted for the job to polish these." "That cleaner? I never knew there was such brilliance hidden beneath the surface of these shells. From what he's told me, the shells are made from the same material as pearls. I want you to provide these shells labeled for consumption. Since you're seeking them out, I assume the shells are made into those pearls. To be precise, other materials, the grime that Ryoma cleaned from the hot spring, for example, can be substituted for them, but these shells would be the best option as the long-term supply." "Did the thought of being more subtle about it not cross your mind?" "I wanted to be frank with you, and I didn't want to waste our time." "You will help me, won't you, Porco?" Reinhardt asked with full confidence. Porco, either from exasperation or resignation, leaned all the way back into his chair and gazed up at the ceiling. "This is a good deal for me as well. Besides, would you even take no for an answer? I could deal with a refusal if you were insistent about it. But the deal with the shells was something Ryoma asked me to bring to you in the first place." "What?" "These shells were harvested in your land, so he thought you should know about it. That being said, he was concerned that making you aware of these shells in such a manner might have caused you trouble or invited suspicion. It didn't seem like he knew much about your troubles, but he had suspected that you had a delicate matter at hand from what he had heard during his stay. So, he asked me for a favor. Just to be clear, his intentions for telling you this are completely innocent. I'm not trying to force you to do anything in exchange for your information. I have a lot more to lose by disappointing Ryoma. I always knew he wasn't an ordinary child, but I didn't think he'd see through me that easily. At first, both my wife and I were worried about him. He seemed sheltered and gullible, but it seems he can be quite perceptive." Watching Reinhardt speak of Ryoma, Porco's reservation seemed to begin to melt. "Don't tell me he's your bastard son, Reinhardt." Porco's unexpected comment made Reinhardt choke on the tea he'd been sipping. "What the devil put that idea into your head? You have this look on your face. Bittersweet, like you've just realized how much your child has grown." "I made such a face? You didn't notice?" Does it matter? He is not my offspring, legitimate or otherwise. There's no outward resemblance, of course, but I see some of your tendencies in him. Well, enough joking around. Let's get back on track. You're the one who wanted to talk with me like in the good old times. All right, all right. Please stop giving me that ominous smile, it's unsettling. Where are we? Ryoma had asked me to tell you about these shells and that he's rather perceptive. If these shells see the light of day, the struggle for rights over Lake Lituan will scarcely remain under the surface but turn into a full-out brawl. Absolutely. It's unfortunate that many in my land would spring for such selfish, short-term gains. Your father paving those roads must have had a lot to do with it. But where it used to be nearly uninhabitable save for the settlements around the lake, your land has improved drastically and could be made even better. I believe it is steadily becoming a highly attractive landscape. Couldn't have been a better time to gain the support of a duke, to be honest. I can ensure you are invited to every dinner party as well as full support with introducing you to as many other powerful nobles as I can. They shook hands. What's in the third box, anyway? Another potential win-win. Can you help me with it? I thought I'd seen all of the surprises you've packed for the day. No need to waste our time, right? Tell me what you need. Would you be interested in a new technology that preserves food for longer while maintaining its taste and freshness? Of course, my main export is fresh fish, after all. That technology is currently in testing. The box contains a prototype of a food freezing magical item. Freezing food negatively affects flavor. Is there a way around that? The food stays much fresher compared to traditional freezing. I think it's market ready as is. How does it work? Apparently, the key is in rapidly freezing the food at a much lower temperature than most magical items allow. A very strong liquor called industrial alcohol is used to achieve this. I've heard that there is a local drink called white ale in Fatoma that most people can make themselves. There is. It takes a certain amount of time and skill to make it palatable, but the taste wouldn't matter if it would just serve as a base for this alcohol. The ingredients for it grow in the wild, and it wouldn't be hard to farm if need be. That's why you're telling me this deal. Porco nodded to himself before adding, Reinhardt. I feel a sense of déjà vu. I keep seeing a certain boy behind this invention. You've guessed right. This is another one of Ryoma's experiments. How does he keep inventing all these things? With our partnership established, I suppose I should tell you. He was raised by the famous sage Maria and the warrior Tigreal, but they were not related by blood. A traveling bard had dubbed him the barley tea sage. Perhaps the moniker's more fitting than it seemed. Porco cracked a smile at this revelation before readopting his stoic expression. I might as well say this now, I think the boy needs to be more careful. You think so too? Reinhardt's expression hardened. There have always been signs, but what happened this time made it clear to me. He's a bit too altruistic. I'm sure he's told you, but I asked him to do a few jobs for me. He delivered exceptional results in both cases but had no interest at all in his reward. That's only a symptom of the bigger issue. What do you mean? The problem is something more at the core of his humanity. That's what I think. Did something happen which made you think that? Yes. Nonetheless, my family and I will continue to support him, both publicly and personally. Seeing the burning resolve in Reinhardt's eyes, Porco regained his smile. You haven't changed at all. Do you think so? Not one bit. Very well. Let's talk over all of it, shall we? Eat, drink, be merry, and complain about the woes of our jobs and raising children. What else are friends for? Thank you, Porco. No need for that. We'll be working together now like the good old days. Porco rang the bell once more and ordered Pigu to rush their dinner out. Then, Porco and Reinhardt continued their conversation, beginning to rekindle their friendship.